Nepal, 37 plus foreign relations, knowing them more, appreciating the efforts of ambassadors, plenipotentiaries, envoys, and head of missions. Welcome to Their Excellencies. Welcome to Their Excellencies. Thank you so much for your time, Your Excellency. We are really honored to host you in our program. How is the life of a diplomat for you?
I would like to start to say I have the best job I could ever imagine. It's very diverse. I have diplomatic tasks. I am also heading the development program. We have political dialogue. We have with the private sector and also Swiss private sector. So you see, my day is never looking one like the others. So very diverse. We have here a portfolio of $40 million. So it's an enterprise almost. So I'm involved in human resources, in financial issues, whatever. So it's very marked by a huge diversity. No, not one day looks like the other.
But doesn't this overexposure of countries, places and people sometimes bring in some burnout?
I think as I feel very comfortable, I have a wonderful team. I mean, you need to be able to rely. I can rely. I have a wonderful team. So no, I don't think so, because I feel always supported. I always feel when I need to know something, I can rely on them. I think that's the most important factor which allows you to work like this without getting a burnout.
So a student of agricultural engineering,
yeah.
Had you planned about this diplomatic life, or was your plan something different and life brought you to this stage?
You know, I've always wanted to go abroad and to see new and other things. My mother was born in Italy, so I always was in Italy. And I had this inner fire to go abroad, so I looked what kind of job allows me to go abroad. And then my interest matched with agriculture. So at the time when I did it, they were looking for agriculture engineers abroad. So I did it and I went abroad, and then slowly my career came more and more in the political dimension, and then now in the diplomatic. But I bring the concrete practical know-how from working in Switzerland in agriculture, but abroad as well, and now more on the political and development side.
Excellency, how we people, general citizens outside this diplomatic circle, see diplomacy as something that which may sometimes be restraining authenticity. So, as a person, as Elisabeth, this excellency role, how much? What is the difference between you and your diplomatic role? Does it limit your authenticity at times? You cannot speak the things you want to?
That's a good question. I think we had to learn, but even before, when I was here as a director of cooperation, I'm never a private person. I'm always an official person, so I have always to see how I behave, And but I don't see restriction on how I am, and I am very authentic as a personality, I would say. So I know what to say and what not to say. So I don't feel very restricted. However, when I'm in Switzerland, I'm not a diplomat, and this gives me then, of course, a bit more freedom to maybe cross once the road when the light is red.
Great. So talking about your journey as a diplomat, which has been the most beautiful incident in your life, if you may recall?
Oh,
I'm sure there are many, but the one on the top of your mind.
Oh, that's very difficult to say. I mean, I am always, what shall I say? I was visiting one of our programs, SAMI, in the province 2, And I have seen these women in literacy, financial literacy training, and I have seen these women how they struggle and how they defend their life and how they fulfill a very difficult multiple task. And I was very proud that we could support them. And these are the moments which are touching me. Yeah.
Your journey to Nepal.
Yes.
This is second inning.
Yes.
Yeah. So you were here before, and what was your first experience with Nepal? The moment you landed at TIA, and you saw the moment the wheels touched the runway. What kind of feeling you got, and how did that feeling graduate across years?
Yeah, it was dark. Because it was still during the conflict, there was no light. That was very surprising. And then I started to discover the beauty of the people, the beauty of the country. I was then taken by one of my colleagues the second day to a trip to, we went to Mantali and then we walked to Okaldunga. So I also experienced the hard life, or at least a little bit what Nepali people in the field have to go through, because it was quite difficult. There was dzukas, there was, yeah. And that was a good experience to start with, to see how, because Kathmandu is not Nepal. And then I start to understand, I would say, more, but we never understand everything. We have to be humble, you know, we have to be humble and always try to, yeah, ask new questions to see another element of the reality. And that's still driving me.
How is your experience in Nepal? What are the things that you'd like to recollect or put together forward as this has graduated? You've been to places. I'm sure you've tried Nepali food as well.
Yes.
So how do these different threads collect together, weave together?
Yeah, I'm very attached emotionally to this country. I think that it is something emotional, you know. Even you have this kind of emotion, and I have this emotion feeling with people. So I admire the diversity, you know, of the people of the country. I admire also the food, very, very good food. And I admire especially the young generation who tries new things. You know, you have a vibrant young generation, which I found personally the biggest difference when I look back, you know. Nepal is no more the same country, you know, and but it's a positive change from my point of view, you know. I don't feel nostalgic and say, oh, it was much better. No, I think it's better now. It's really better now. And for me, this gives me also the hope and the drive, you know, to engage here. Because I see a light, I see that's better. And I see the young people coming up, all the vibrance. You know, when we came last time, there were 3 restaurants here in Sanepa. 3 restaurants in Sanepa.
That's interesting. And
yeah,
now?
Hundreds. You know, yeah, I mean, this is such a difference you cannot believe. So I think that is also what is touching me, to see how this country moves in a positive direction.
What kind of food, Nepali food, you prefer to have?
Oh, I like Nepali food. I like also Maithili food. I like all, you know, I like all. And I have a garden here, and I said I want to have all the Nepali vegetables planted in my garden, and I try everything. And I think it's the diversity which attracts me so much. That's
really interesting. So how much have you amalgamated with the Nepalese culture and tradition?
I try, of course, to experience it. Yeah, that's what is interesting me, experience it and to see. I mean, all culture has positive and negative sides, so to understand. And I think the diversity here, this is the biggest gift in the country you have, and you could even build more, I would say, on the diversity. You know, that could be a huge, advantage also for tourism, to really, show the diversity and be proud on the diversity.
Sure. So, Excellency, talking about Switzerland.
Yes.
What is a normal day for Swiss people? Because we see in movies, we know it as a very interesting tourist destination.
Yeah.
I was in Switzerland and I felt I could associate a lot of places and the landscape with Nepali landscape, and it was really a wonderful experience.
Yeah.
But a typical Swiss life. So what time do they wake up and what time they go to bed, and what all happens during the day?
Yes.
I'm sure it differs from profession to profession, but
I can say how my day looked like before. I got up at 5 o'clock, then at 5:30 I took my bicycle, I went to the train station, then I had an hour to go to office in Bern, so at 7:15 I was in the office, and then I worked until 6 o'clock. I took the 6 o'clock train, and I was 7:30 at home. And then I was lucky that my husband already prepared the food, and then we did sit down, we exchanged, we chatted, and then when my son was still there, we discussed with him on whatever was on the table, and then we went to sleep.
So the morning, it's an early morning day.
Yes.
And
so,
wow, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we work quite a lot, I would say. The pace is very, very intense, but then of course we have also days which are we have holidays, and then of course it's different. Yeah.
So what do you like the most, if you were to explain Switzerland to Nepalese people who are watching us from this through this television? So what is Switzerland for, in a way that Nepalese people can understand and associate?
Switzerland has a lot of commonality with Nepal. I think this is what connects us. I mean, the mountains, the nature, but also the political reality. We also, and we have the diversity. We understand how difficult this is in a diverse country. We have federalism, as you have, probably because of the diversity. We have many commonalities. We have also commonality that we are a country between the big players, which makes us also understand each other. I think what I enjoy to come back, I was there in this summer, I enjoyed to go to swim in the lake and have the mountains behind. It's a bit cliche, but that's what I enjoy, to go out, to walk, to have this quality of life.
So how are Swiss mountains different from Nepalese mountains? Have you been to go near to Nepalese mountains?
Yeah, I did.
So what kind of difference you feel, except for the geographies?
Yeah, of course, Nepal mountains are much higher, but when you're in front of the mountain, you don't see a difference between 4,000 and 8,000. This is just big. I think Swiss mountains, the landscape is similar. It's a bit more, I would say, domesticated in Switzerland. You have everywhere these cable cars and the roads, and that's why we come here, because we don't want to have that. Here is still pure nature. But the life of the farmers have been similar, very hard life. Yeah.
So you find Nepalese mountains wilder?
Yes, I like it.
Excellency, now going towards Nepal-Switzerland relationship, and even before that, a lot of times we get to hear from Nepalese politicians that they would want to make Nepal like Switzerland.
Yeah.
And the being landlocked is common between us, but then we hear in media that they want to make Nepal like Switzerland. Mm-hmm. So what is your commentary on Nepalese people putting in the dye of Switzerland their vision about Nepal?
I think it's...
how do you think it even...
it's about peace. The politician is about peace, I would say, and of economic prosperity, about a good system of rule of law. This is very important. That's probably what the Nepali politician aspire, It is the prosperity and the peace, I would say. Of course, it is maybe there needs some other elements in Nepal to achieve the goal. But I would not if I would be Nepal, I would not want to be like Switzerland. I would be like Nepal, but with the good elements of Switzerland.
So what do you see are a few of the important things that Nepal can learn, acquire, or inherit from Switzerland? Because you know the Nepalese context.
Yeah,
so
I think political stability. Political stability. This is the key recept. The second is we have in Switzerland small and medium enterprises. They are the driver of the economy, and they have shown also resilient. And I think here there is not yet enough understanding that a small enterprise is a very important actor. It's not only about the big programs, it's about the small and medium enterprises, which are the driver, which showed more resilience, by the way, now in the crisis. And I think what is another thing we support the government of Nepal is to have a good technical vocational education system. In Switzerland, 80% of the kids, they don't go to university, they make an apprenticeship. So I think, and they come out on the market with the skills the market needs. And we support this kind of dual apprenticeship model where the students are 4 days in the company and 1 day in school only, because they come out with the life skill, they come out with the real know-how, and the market here in Nepal, the business needs good skilled labor. So I think that Nepal can learn from Switzerland. And we are advising, we have somehow brought the technical schools to Nepal, like Jiri, Balajur and others, and I think that's the future.
Jiri is a fantastic example for Nepal to learn. Excellency, you've been with Swiss Agency for Development and Cooperation, SDZ, for quite good time. There is a particular stereotype about development agencies, the way citizens look at development agencies. They feel that a lot of it is spent in administration and little goes to the programs. So I'm talking in general.
Yeah.
So you've been in this sector for quite a while. So would you like to throw some lights towards this perception?
Yeah, I think I know that is the general opinion, and I would like to invite anybody who wants to come with us and to see. No, I would not. I would say, of course, development cooperation is a business, is a business, and a business with risk. Without risk, we have no results, So we try really to support innovation, and when you support innovation, sometimes it doesn't work. But we have a lot of instruments, and to validate, and financial instruments, and monitoring, evaluation. And I think for us the most important way to see it is to go for a field visit. But when we see the result in Nepal, Switzerland has brought the direct cooperation, has brought the rural road, the trail bridges. They are there. They are now managed by the Nepali. So this is really a transfer of know-how which is incredible. You cannot say that it disappeared. You have Balajur, you have the technical schools. They are there. They help the country still to bring the right skilled labor. So you have so many examples which are contradicting what is the public opinion.
Of course. Would you like to further elaborate on SDC's contribution in Nepal? Because there is a list. You've helped in pre-earthquake and for peace and for a lot of technical education. So can you elaborate a little bit more on, even on in this present context, you're doing a lot of programs on COVID awareness and all. So would you like to talk a little bit about the programs that you've done and what kind of results they have brought in?
Okay, so I think right now we brought about 70,000 test kits. That was at the time when the country ran out of tests. I think that was a very timely and a good support. We supported now also hospitals in the hospital waste management, in the water treatment. We helped some palikas to build up quarantine stations. So we really tried to support where we could. We brought a lot of medical equipment in the beginning when it was still scarcity. Now I think it's enough available. But we always said we want to support the system. We just don't want to give like this. We want, because at the end it's Nepal and the government of Nepal who has to manage it. Having said that, at the same time the small-scale irrigation is continuing. Our people are really risking a lot. going still out to the field. Some of them have already now received or been infected, but they continue. The trail bridges will continue. I think in future we will be more on know-how transfer and innovation. For example, I give one example is that Switzerland is good in tunneling. So we supported now the government of Nepal with feasibility assessments on tunneling. And we support the government of Nepal also then to have good tender documents, you know. So we really try to come more and more again with know-how. I think that is what is needed, and the future of our relationship is innovation and know-how transfer and knowledge broker. I think that's what we will.
Excellency, I've seen Swiss programs in Nepal, and they're always proactive. If you actually see the incident and the need and the action taken, you see a very small gap between the need and the action taken. So what makes you this proactive? Are you less bureaucratic, or are you clear about what you want to achieve? So how did you get this edge?
I think we are maybe less bureaucratic than other agencies. But I think what it is that we have a program in the field, you know, and we have people in the field, and they know and they understand. It's not here that we develop something, you know. It's really based on what we see and where we see the needs. I think that is really our key success.
What has been the most emotional moment for you in the field?
Once I met this minor discharged Maoist 10 years ago, and that was for me one of the most touching moments, to see where they came from, where they are, what happened with them, and how they struggled. I think that was, in my life, that was one of the most emotional moments. Yeah.
Now, talking about Nepal-Switzerland relation since 1959, what are the milestones that you would like to remember this, more than 60, 70 years of journey together? There has been a lot of visits, and even the president has visited Nepal. So these are very interesting milestones. But are there anything that you would like to, recall, remember as a hallmark of this relation?
I think, as I already said, we started with cheese because that's what we know how to do. We came from a mountain country, and I think there the connection started. We have been very practical in the beginning on a forest, I would say, in community forest. That was one of the success factors. In the 70s, the hills here
I think we're doing very good in community forest. Yes. We got some awards as well.
Yes.
So your contributions have really brought colors.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so, because now you see this is it was deforested here. Now it's regrown. So I think that is something we can be proud on it, and Nepal as well. Then of course, as I said, the Tibet sector, then the infrastructure sector. But I also think we could be proud on how we could support Nepal in the constitution. Because we have experience on federalism, we know what is not working, so we can learn from our Swiss mistakes and share with Nepal. I think that makes us also, I would say, relevant.
You're ready to support.
Yeah.
Are Nepalese stakeholders ready to accept that support and utilize that support? How tough is it to get things done in Nepal? At government level, at community level, at bureaucracy level, and at different levels?
What shall I say? I would say that in general we have a very good relationship because we have trust, mutual trust. I think that's important, that Nepal needs to know or knows that we are a friend. We are not here to bash, we are a friend. And I think that opens us all the doors. Of course, the frequent change in the government system, and especially in the bureaucratic system, that's definitely something which is hampering or slowing down, the implementation. But on community level, I would say we don't. Of course, there is challenge, there's everywhere, but we don't feel any big problem more than elsewhere.
Excellency, how much does how EU looks Nepal affect to how Switzerland looks Nepal?
How EU?
EU.
The EU. Yeah, we are not in the EU, so Switzerland.
Does that little bit, does it adulterate that relation, or I would say, does it add some colors to that relation, or is it completely independent?
I think we are completely independent. We can join them where we think it makes sense, but we can also take a more impartial position where we think we can contribute more to while being impartial. But our relation with the EU is complicated, but this is more in the Switzerland and in the EU and not here. We don't see any. We work very closely and very good.
And talking about the bilateral consultation mechanisms, in 2016 there was BCM. So do you think these kind of bilateral instruments are actually working?
Yes, I think they are very important. They give us a platform for a regular dialogue on issues where we want to advance the two countries with each other. We have, for example, received now a good agreement with the government that our spouses can also work, if they find a job, because that is very important for our private life, that our spouses can also work. So that was also discussed in the bilateral these consultations, and I think I have experienced this at a very good platform. Yeah.
So these are helpful.
Very helpful.
How do we make them active? What kind of mechanisms do we need to make these kind of instruments more active? So do we make it more result oriented, or do we make it some routine activities, so that, because in a lot of cases I was doing a research and there are a lot of similar institutions available, but they've not met since past so many years in many cases. So not only talk about Swiss-Nepal relationship, in general these kind of diplomatic instruments. So how do you think we make them active?
It's a very difficult question you ask, and I think SARC is probably one of the bodies you mean. I would say as long as they are not politicized, which is of course often the case, they can function. When I see, the UN is an institution where I think a lot could be achieved, and I believe nowadays these instruments are important, and we have to reinforce. Look, the problem can no more be solved nationally. Most of the problem we have to be solved regionally or globally. Look at the air pollution here in Nepal. This cannot be solved by Nepal only. This is a regional effect. So I think these bodies are very important, and there is no other way than be active and to engage.
So talking about trade, Nepal and Switzerland trade relations, such a long history, but still the figures are not, I would say, not that significant.
Yes.
It's not low, of course, but
no, it's not significant. I agree with you. Yeah.
So what do you think is holding us, or is it not feasible?
Of course, it's feasible, and I wanted to share with you that just before the pandemics, there were many Swiss companies here to see, and they have understood that's a bit more stability here now, and they were here because Nepal is an emerging market. Nepal has an interesting consumption potential, so many companies were here to watch and see if they would be ready to invest, and I think Nepal needs foreign investment, and I would say this is a future for Nepal to increase the trade relationship between many countries, including Switzerland. I think Nepal will be a country of service delivery. As I said, I believe that biotechnology, IT, art will be products or economic sectors where Nepal will be prosperous. I see also tourism, where I see a lot of connection, and also we see more and more Nepali coming to Switzerland to visit. So I think trade has trade has increased. Now it's really a pity that this pandemic came in between, but I think we were really on a good start.
So in my different meetings with a lot of stakeholders relating to dairy, they a lot of times take the name of Switzerland.
Yeah.
So how much do you think we have been able to connect the dairy industry of Switzerland with the dairy industry of Nepal? Because the expectations are pretty high.
I think not yet fully explored. I think that's something I'm very eager also and working on it, because I really would like to increase this trade relationship and also the exchange. And I think I see a lot of potential. You know, we have a good pharmaceutical industry. I mean, in the banking sector, there is a tourism sector. I think there is many sectors where we really could see that we could have, as I said, more exchange on our know-how, but also more trade relationship. And I believe Nepal has a potential in agriculture niche products. Not in rice, I mean that India is probably cheaper, better, but niche products, you know. Nepal has a huge marketing advantage. You put on the branding advantage. You put on the product the prayer flag and a mountain, and it sells. You know,
True.
You could even more explore in that.
Do you think Nepalese people have been able to take advantage of that marketing instrument that you just mentioned?
I think slowly it grows. You see, as I said, more young enterprises coming up which are using actively this brand, and I don't know if there is another country which have this kind of branding.
Approved, and 2.9 billion until July 20 and 15, which has created 1575 jobs. So are these Swiss investments, I would say, or the trade people, are they happy with the way things work in Nepal? What is their perception about Nepal?
As I said, I mean, the perception is more political stability, but the perception is also still that there needs a bit more friendly environment, investment environment. For example, we need a more smoothening of the one-door policy. Then the minimum threshold for FDI has to come down. It was set on a higher level, where this is really pushing away many, because many enterprises want to come and to test, you know.
True.
And if the minimal threshold is too high, they will not come. So I think there is still some policy environment fields for improvement, which has to be addressed. Yeah.
What do you think are three major sectors that Nepalese or Swiss investors can think about, investing in Nepal, based on your experience? Which are the three areas that you would like to offer to Swiss investors when it's about Nepal?
Yeah, we had a lot of people who were interested to be involved, of course, in infrastructure, but that's for us not a very productive sector. Once it's there, it doesn't create or generate any more income. So I would say in the pharmaceutics branches, we have some Swiss companies who are here, who are looking for investment in the pharmaceutical branches. I'm sure Nestle would also come if the environment is good enough and in the market is good enough. But I would also say many small enterprises. You know, we had one Swiss enterprise who invested here in high quality filled shoes.
Wow.
You know, and really high, it must be high quality field shoes. Others were here more for a specific niche agriculture product. So I think it's a wide range between big investment, big companies, but also small enterprises who would like to come.
So as we are having this conversation, you at least 5-6 times told small and medium enterprises.
Yes.
What motivated you to kind of put that table that time and again? You see that focus on SMEs can actually improve Nepal?
Yes, absolutely. It's the key. Look at Germany, Austria and Switzerland. What is the key driver of the economy? That's small and medium enterprises. It's not the big one. First of all, the big one started as small enterprises and became big, but it's the small and medium enterprises who create jobs, who are very important also for the society, who give stability to the society. And I think here, probably not yet really fully understood the importance. I really believe, yeah.
What do you think can be done to increase the importance of the SMEs in this sector? Is it only policy intervention, or you see a few other nuts and bolts missing?
I think the policy intervention are very important, and the financing instruments, that So far you need collaterals, I mean with land. I think there should be changes also, that the small and medium enterprises get better finance access to finances. And then, as I said, it's education. You need skilled labor, and I come back to the TVET, you know, the technical vocational school. It's like a package. You need. We hear from the private sector we don't have the people we can use. You know, when they come out of the school, we cannot use them. You know, because they have no life skill and they don't have the right skills for the sectors. You know, nowadays the business environments change a lot. You know, the innovation needs a really lifelong learning of the employees. So I think that's something which needs to be improved here. Yeah.
So, Excellency, what agendas are on your plate for the future about this Swiss and Nepal relationship? What are the things that we can be expecting?
As I said, we really support now Nepal in the TVET sector, dual apprenticeship sector. That's for us absolutely a key engagement. Then we also want to engage in sustainable tourism. I think this is a very, very potential trade option, or not trade, or business option for Nepal. Sustainable tourism. That Nepal diversifies its touristic activities. I think there also we will continue, and we will really support now young, small and medium enterprises. That's what we do.
So you're very clear about the three agendas.
Yeah.
So do you see potential for tourism in Nepal, for a lot of Swiss people coming to Nepal?
I think Nepal has to diversify, has to understand what do they want. And I think the most important tourists for Nepal are the Nepali. You see now the shock, what happens now, no foreign tourists come. So I think Nepal should really focus on domestic tourism. And then I would say when Swiss people come here, they look for the nature, they look for the pure mountains, because otherwise we could stay. So I think Nepal also has to see that some regions stay somehow untouched, or for this kind of tourism, and others are more religious, for religious tourism, for Indians who come. There's a total different need. So I think there is a diversification needed, and then Swiss people will definitely come. And I always say Swiss people come as tourists and leave as friends.
That's really interesting. Excellency, during my interaction with the tourism entrepreneurs, what they say is Nepal, the packaging of tourism products is missing. Mm-hmm. So as you said, decomposing it into different niches and then designing the tourism product, that's missing. So can we expect some help from Switzerland?
Yes, you can.
Or is something already happening?
No, you can expect. We try to work with mainly Province 1 on that. And I would like to say the for us, most important player in that game is the provinces, because the provinces have the overview on the province. They know where is the need, where there is an infrastructure, where their infrastructure is needed to be built, where maybe hospitals, where is a need for a better business environment. So I think for us, in order also to diversify this tourism and to plan it and to have it a bit more structured, the province are for us a key factor, together with the private sector, of course.
Excellency, how do you how do you think about connecting Switzerland to Nepalese people at people-to-people relations?
Yeah, I would of course hope that more people come to Nepal to visit, and also come as tourists and leave as friends. I think that is something we would really, of course, like to see. We also have an instrument where we have retired professionals from Switzerland coming here to support businesses here. I think that's a very, very nice way of exchanging. And for example, we already had once Nepali coming to Switzerland to help to build the trails, because in Switzerland nobody knows to build the trails, and we have re-imported the trail bridges from Nepal to Switzerland. I think that's ways. But I also think on business relation we can, not only personal relation but also business relation, I think we can work closer to exchange together. Yeah.
So how do you think about the political relations? These recent 4-5 years, have they been not very active, or what is your take on it? Like the visits and the relationship,
Yes.
the deepening at
Yes.
political level?
Yes, I think so. We tried really to deepen the relationship because we see really Nepal as our friend, our beyond the economic. But we really also see that Nepal is very much also affected by climate change, you know.
Yeah.
So when our president recently phoned with your president, that was a topic, how we can collaborate together to address and tackle climate change. I would say we also engage really with Nepal to improve human rights, or to end the or in transitional justice, because this is a chapter Nepal still has to address, you know, transitional justice. We also are there as friends at the side of Nepal, and this is has really intensified, and we hope it will stay like this.
So how about you? How will you, like after your diplomatic career?
Yeah.
So will you ever retire, or you plan to, you know, visit a lot of countries as an individual? So
Yeah.
what's your future plan about your life?
I don't know yet, but what is for sure, I will come back to Nepal.
We would always love to welcome you.
I will come back to Nepal. I have some very strong ties. But I will probably try to do something voluntarily, in the social work voluntarily. I don't know yet. It's still a couple of years ahead, but what is for sure that I will come back.
So any message for the Nepalese people watching through this television?
Yeah, just you should know that we are a friend, an honest friend, and honest friend can say each other sometimes things which are more difficult, but I think this has evolved in so many years that it has a sound foundation.
Thank you so much for your time, Excellency.
Thank you so
I had a
much
wonderful
for the interview.
conversation,
That
and
was
thank
a
you
pleasure.
for giving this a space in the embassy.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Nepal, 37 plus foreign relations. Knowing them more, appreciating the efforts of ambassadors, plenipotentiaries, envoys, and head of missions. Welcome to Their Excellencies.